Hello, I'm a gust of wind. This is Into the Toad. The toad is not like anything else. People try to describe it. I try to describe it because I like to talk about it because it's this thing that humans have been looking for since there's been humans. People call it a psychedelic, but they say it's a million times more powerful than LSD, and there's all these metaphors for how powerful it is. It's so powerful. I don't think it belongs in the classification of psychedelics. I don't think it can be classified, except to say that it is the thing that humans have been looking for since there have been humans. This is not some old hippie's idea, opinion, theory. This is the truth. This is real. Going into the toad means you are leaving this world, this realm, this dimension will not be here in your journey. There is only one thing that will survive this trip, and it's the same thing that will survive your death, because the toad is death. It is what's coming next for us, for all of us, for everything. So the part of you that's in it is not your name and your job title, of course, your race, your culture, your creed. This is all nonsense. It's not even the human being that lives inside the toad. It is the essence of life. It is what you really are. There's a piece of you that you can get in touch with if you let things get quiet enough and you shut the hell up for a while. You can get a sense of this place. You had a sense of it when you were a small child. You had a sense of it if you've ever had a near-death experience. And you had a sense of it when you fell in love. That sensation of falling in love. I mean, what? How do we explain that? How do we explain what that is? Why is it here? Oh, it's to make sure that the species propagates. That's sex. That's lust. That's beauty and attraction. That's simple. What love does is changes the world. It's the greatest force that we know. It's impossible to be defeated when you're in love. Nothing can get in your way. The toad shows you what love really is. I mean, it is not anything about anybody else. It's your birthright. This is what you are. And this is where you're going. It is disorienting to say these words, to be what I am today. I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm not gifted. There's nothing about me that's important in this at all, which is why Augusta Wind is the one doing the talking. It doesn't matter what I am, who I am, or where I am. All that matters is what the toad gives to us. Not even why it gives it to us. There is no understanding of the why. It is just another tentacle in this enormously complicated realm that we live in. And there are others. This is not the only thing that's happening. As impressive as it is, there's more. It's infinite. That's why we look to the stars and we can't comprehend the size. Life lets us know you are not going to figure anything out. Drill all the way down into what this fabric of life is, and you'll see all these little tiny particles and pieces. And then you look even further with this new technology, and there's more particles and pieces. And then there's a new technology that's just changing the world, and we use that, and we see new particles and pieces. It's not going to end. Just like it's not going to end when you try to find the end of the universe. There is no end. There is no understanding. There is no answer, which is a heavy burden to carry into the medicine. I know, because I carried it in and out many times. My whole objective was to understand. And all that got me was an ass kicking. Trying to get something out of the medicine will teach you very quickly the power of the forces at work in this realm. You have no power here. None. But when you accept that, you are the power here. You're it. And it is you. This is not some drug. This is not some weekend trip. This is not some specific medicine to cure this specific ailment. This is all there is. This is an opportunity for humanity to take the next step. We look around us right now. I wouldn't say we're progressing. What is this mess? What are these wars and this famine and this anger? Where is this all coming from? What is the source of it all? I think I have a notion. I think I have a notion because I was that anger. I thought that's what I was. And the medicine worked through that. I worked through it. Through battle after battle after battle. Battles to the death against the force of life itself. The thing that powers the suns is what you're going up against here. And you can take a fighting stance and hold on and grit your teeth and march in. And that's really all. That's what we do. Me and the people I know who do it. Although there does seem to be an evolution in that, and there was for me where I ran out of anger. And let me say, coming out of the medicine, having been liberated from that anger, having that anger squeezed out of me, which is that's really the only way that this type of healing happens. It's not a vision or it's a physical sensation. It's God squeezing the anger out of you or beating it out of you. And it's this darkness going head to head against the light and the love. That's what it is. I bring the darkness in. I was the darkness. And I brought that onto the battlefield. And I lost every time, of course. But the reward in losing, the result, the consequence of me carrying all that rage in was a release. And when that anger leaves your molecular structure, anger it's not a thought, it's not a chemical, it's you. It's in every cell of your form. So to address it is a physical sensation unlike anything else that a human being can do. And when you come out of it and you think about the prescriptions that doctors give and the therapy that therapists, it's all a joke. If you want to know what healing is, take your angry, miserable self into the medicine. Go into the toad and see what awaits. See what happens. It's a gift. And it's a gift from our source. And if you look around at nature, you watch the speed and power of a killer whale. You watch the ferocity of a pack of hyenas. You witness the power, courage, and destruction of the army ant, the tiny little ant, mowing down the jungle, clearing a path, taking everything in its way. It does not matter what it is. If it's alive, it gets eaten. This is the dynamic of our world. This is the rules of the game. There's no mercy. There's no fairness. It's eat and be eaten. But there's an order. There's an order. From that order, we can sense the nature of what is. And from the toad, we get to see a layer deep, another layer into this order. It's not going to make sense. None of the things that happen to you, you're going to be able to comprehend. There's not going to be words for them. You will shut up for a while because you won't have anywhere from which to speak. You can't stand up and make your position because there's no more position. Everything's wiped out. Nothing makes sense. But you feel great. You have been liberated from yourself, from your fabrication of yourself, from your name and your title and your position and your socioeconomic status and your culture and your religion and your hierarchy and your sense of authority and your sense of entitlement and your sense of control. You get freed from that for a little bit, especially if you're proud of it. This is not a hobby. This is not a toy. And this is not a drug. This is death. This is the end of life. This is the only answer that nobody on this planet can solve. That's where we go. The great mystery of life solved in our time, right here and right now. There's not a lot of whys. We don't have a lot of answers. We just know it's the truth. What you experience is the truth. And it's the first time you experience it. And we can have a conversation about what it is and why it happens and the chemical structure. We can say, oh, it's 5-MeO-DMT, which is a bunch of big letters standing in for a bunch of bigger words, which represent an entire volume of even bigger words, none of which touch what this is in any way. All they're doing is comparing it to other things. There is no comparison for this. There's no word for it. There's no classification for it. It's what is. It's the greatest adventure of humankind. And it's inward. The only thing external is the toad itself. The medicine from the toad, the Sonoran Desert toad, buries itself under the ground in its harsh climate in the Sonoran Desert, which is not survivable for most of the year for the toad. So it protects itself within the blanket of earth. And it releases venom from its glands, and it leaves. It travels into the medicine. It lives in the medicine for months with no sense of life. It suspends its life to go into death and wait for the time when it can emerge and eat and mate. And then it'll go back in. That is the life of this creature. One little toad understands more about the entire universe than all of humanity, now and previous, combined. That's real. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter how big it is. It doesn't matter what your opinion is of it. Your opinions have no weight here. Man discovered this medicine most likely from his animal companions. The Native Americans, which let's just broadly say North and South America primitive tribes, the early peoples before the white man came in and did what he did. There was wisdom in medicine here. There still is. There are people in Mexico today who don't speak Spanish. They only speak Mayan. It's real. Our culture, our TV, our phones, and our internet is not as dominating as we think it is. It's just dominating us. There's a whole life outside of what you know and what you think is true. And that is what you're going to confront should you decide to take the step into the toad. Everything changes forever for you. Everything. I don't know the next time I'll be going in. I would imagine it'll probably be in the spring. It's autumn now. And when I think about how I will comport myself on that day, I see what I am. I know what's coming in the sense that what's coming is the unknown, and I am volunteering for it. I don't know anything else. It might be the most terrible experience of my entire life. That's on the table. What I know is the benefits of death, of dying over and over again, of walking up the hill and facing it. And I like to see myself approaching that moment with reverence and respect and gratitude and silence. And and that's not usually what happens. That's my aspiration, to comport myself in that manner, in that moment. Most of the time, it's a lot of nervous chatter, making jokes, trying to get on with it. But the moment will come when I hear that torch spark and light that glass bulb. That will be Eric singing, guiding me, protecting me from myself if possible, but fully trusting in the toad. Whatever happens is up to something else, and it's acceptable. It's always acceptable. Which is why I say this isn't an opinion from some guy. You're hearing it from some guy, that's correct. But this is established fact, and I know that because it's been burned into my soul. It's not in my thoughts. It's not in my mind. It's not in my memories. It's somewhere else. This faith. Not only a faith in what it is, but in what it's going to do to me. I have sensed a nature in the medicine, a benevolence, which gives me great hope and gratitude and pride at being alive. There is a nature to what you are experiencing right now. Deep, deep down, there is something there, and it has love. It's the only certainty that's left in me. I can't trust anything else. I look at the sky right now, and I know the whole thing might just drop in front of me, and I'm catapulted into some other dimension. That's not mental illness. That's reality. That's true for all of us. Your sky will drop. It's not an if. It's the only certainty that exists once you're born. So why not understand it? Why not take advantage of this opportunity to experience it? I could say something trivial, like what's the worst that can happen? But I can't say that because you don't know the worst that can happen. I don't know either. I know bad things happen. Very bad things, very difficult things. And they're so bad and they're so difficult, you don't survive them. That's how bad it gets. You're going to die, but you're going to come back. What do you think that does for your perspective? What does that open up for your life and the days you have left? What does it do for the people you care about on this world? The beauty of this place here, now, this place that we all share right now, but we all see differently. You see a vehicle rolling down the road and there's a grandfather driving and there's a 12-year-old boy in the passenger seat and they're both looking out the windshield at the same place and they're seeing far different things. One is unrecognizable to the other. The normal analogy would try to prove that the 12-year-old is wrong. He just doesn't know yet, hasn't learned his lessons. I would argue that a lot of what that 12-year-old is seeing is very true. The optimistic, energetic, loving approach to life itself. We call it childish. It's love. And it's not love for another person. It's love for oneself, for the experience, for being alive. It's gratitude. Look at what we are. Look what we can do. Let's get into it. Let's get into something. Let's mix it up. I mean, kids you have to watch them every second. They're into everything because they want to get into it. Because they're alive. Because they're in love. Doesn't mean that they're gentle and kind. Those words have nothing to do with love. The toad has shown me love, but we look at our environment. That's love. So all the death and disease and suffering is the love. They're not two separate things. It just runs so deep that it just requires your faith that it is all love. So even if it's not what you want, or if you want things to be different, that has no role in this. If you get to encounter this force, this power, you won't think there's any mistakes occurring anymore. It's impossible to experience this and to come back and think that this world needs fixed. There's no fixing required here. It's all good. Someone has seen to it. It's an opportunity. It's playtime. Playtime can mean leading an army into battle and slaughtering innocent people. That's a form of this playtime. That's permitted in this realm. There is no punishment for that. There's no consequences. There's no high stakes. Some lives are full of happiness and joy. Others are full of trauma, hopelessness, pain. But we have choices to make. We can accept things and we can seek our opportunities to get what we want. It only works if you know what you want. And in order to know what you want, you have to understand what you fear. They are on the same coin, those two things. I didn't know what I wanted until I faced what I feared. And I didn't know what I was afraid of until the toad showed me, or until I showed myself. I will give a lot of credit to the toad as I talk about it, but in my current state of thinking today, all of the credit goes to me. Me alone. I did it. I found it. I use it. There are other players. There are friends who got me on this path and showed me things and were kind to me. There is a man who facilitates the medicine. His name is Eric, and he has devoted his life to sharing this experience with people. You can try to imagine a man who has traveled in and out of death so many times that he has no fear for it. Try to imagine what a human, an intelligent, strong, experienced, mischievous human who speaks 7 languages and travels the world like it's his backyard and has no fear of death and dying and understands whatever this is that I'm talking about better than anybody else. Try to imagine what that person looks like. That's Eric. He's been very good to me and patient with me as I've gone down this path and made a mess of it. Thinking I knew things. I may listen to this next year and have to turn it off because I just can't listen to myself talking things about things that I now know are not true. I contradict myself constantly, and I do not care. I'm in the flow of it, and I see things the way I see things right now, and I expect to see things differently tomorrow. Because the one thing I have come to understand is that I am not one thing. I am an amorphous, evolving, fluctuating, spinning thing that has no definition. It's a terrifying thing to have to face that. It goes against everything that you've been taught since you could understand language. But it's liberating. And once you're there, you're really not concerned with what others' opinions might be on the subject of you. You've had to address it in quiet by yourself. Toad ceremonies happen on a prayer mat, next to a fire, in nature, among artifacts from other people who have gone down this journey, some of whom are no longer with us in this realm, some of whom are still in contact with Eric in the next realm. That is real. There is music, there is singing, there is drumming, there are some instruments Eric utilizes depending on the nature of the trip, which means the nature of the person in the medicine. It's a wide, wide, wide variety of potential outcomes here. The scope of humanity itself, the different types of people, is what shows up. And they enter into an infinite realm that has no dimension. It cannot be comprehended. It can be beheld. It can be loved. That's it. It can also be feared. It will be feared. Eric didn't bring that fear into it in his journey. His first journey was being attacked by killer bees in the Amazon jungle, living among a primitive tribe, no access to modern resources at all, and he died in that jungle. And he entered this realm. And to hear him say it, he was given a choice. Come on in or go back. And he decided to go back, and it would be years later that he would learn why he decided to go back. Because years later, someone would approach him at his house in Mexico with the toad medicine and try to tell him what it was, and Eric decided to give it a shot. And as soon as he inhaled the medicine, he went right back to where he was when he was killed by the bees. The exact same place. He was there again. And he had another choice. And he came back again. There's no progression. Well, there's progression in yourself. So the medicine experience might change. But there's just because it's super terrifying and earth-shattering the first time doesn't mean it's not going to be more intense 10 years later. Nobody knows what's coming. I think Eric has a sense just by looking in your eyes. I believe that. He'll also talk. He'll find out where you're at. Of course you're afraid. There's nothing wrong with that. We do it anyway. That is the big jump here. How often do you face your biggest fear head on and surrender yourself to it, make yourself vulnerable? You inhale, you're at the mercy of whatever the hell this is, and you're terrified. It's a big step. It's a rite of passage. It's a selection process. I don't know how many people I've talked to about the medicine over the years, but it's probably over 1,000. And the vast majority, after a conversation about what it's done for me, the vast majority is, where do I sign up? Let's do it. And of the people, of that 1,000 people who said that, I know of 3 that showed up. A yogi, a therapist, and a troubled man with a childhood. If you think you know what a terrible traumatic childhood is, you will talk to this guy, and his actual experience will be worse than what you're imagining. Those are the 3 people that showed up, and they all had different experiences. The yogi giggled the whole time and stood up and realized that she had to embrace laughter with her young children. That as a mother, a single mother, she had not let herself have fun for years. And she gained new perspective from that glimpse. The therapist came out, and Eric said, you're going to go in at least 10 more times before we get to you. This is all of your clients. These are all the people that you're trying to help. What we're digging into here. And hats off to that man. He continued to come back, and he is still coming back, and he is still seeking his own liberation. We get enough. I get enough to let me know I'm on the right path, and that it's all okay, and that this is making me stronger. It's the most difficult decision I have to make anymore. I have had to risk my entire personal money, every penny that is attached to me for my business multiple times. And that decision takes about 30 seconds, and I don't really think about it afterward. I monitor very closely. I do what I can. It does not weigh on me at all. Decision to go into the medicine weighs on me for months. Has me up at night pacing. How will I comport myself on that day? What am I? If I cannot accept death, what am I? If I cannot trust in the love that I have sensed from this other place, from death itself, then what am I even doing here? Your faith is tested. That's why it's faith. It is not a argument in a bar where you have to choose your words, make your argument. It's a test of the soul because you're going in and you're letting go, and what you are is going to factor in what happens to you. The most difficult experiences in my entire life have been the battles in this medicine. It's impossible to explain what happens. Sometimes there are flashes. I can remember having my spine bent backwards slowly with great force until it snapped, and then I died. I can remember that vividly. The pain, the fear, the sound, all real. All happened. Most of the time, it is a torrent of chaos and fear. And I don't know always what my body is doing in this realm. I am not in my body. My spirit is on the other side. But as the medicine winds down and releases me, I feel physically the thrashing about, the guttural sounds. I have a theory that a lot of what is happening there is a forced exhale. What's your biggest exhale? What happens after that exhale? How do you describe your breathing? How do you describe the physical sensation after, let's say, 5 minutes of working to stretch that exhale out? Nirvana means exhale. That's where it is, this place. If you have any interest in getting into breathwork, all you have to do is focus on the exhale. The inhales will take care of themselves. Try to have some discipline with the exhale and try to see breath after breath after breath how things expand. My greatest exhale, I feel, is maybe 10% of my capacity in this diaphragm, in this body, this air that's circulating around and gumming up the works. When you come out of the medicine, there is no air left. I have seen a grown man's abdomen change shape coming out of the medicine. Laying on his back, he was yay thick. At the end of the ceremony, he's 4 inches thinner vertically, his midsection. At least. We walk around with air inside us. And I don't know physiologically what I'm saying. I don't care. I know it's real, and I've had the air squeezed out of me with great force. in the medicine, and I've heard the sounds of what that sounds like, and I know what it looks like. I've seen it happen to myself, and I've watched my friends go through the same thing. We refer to it as purging. It kind of implies that you're battling yourself. Some people go in and they don't move at all. But it doesn't explain what they're going through. There's a complete disconnect. The ego is there, and it might even be talking. I have seen a friend have a conversation full of fear and panic about he didn't want to go any deeper and let him go and what's happening, and just an absolute panic attack in this realm. And he comes out of the medicine, and it was just pure bliss. He has no knowledge of what was going on here. I've seen that same friend speak in a different language in the medicine, fluently, with sharp syllables and words, defined phrases. Eric said it's the medicine of the toad, the medicine of the people of light. I can't criticize anything. I am not in a position like that anymore. I don't know. The pressure's off me. I don't have to explain anything to anybody. That is not what I'm here for. I'm just here to live. And hopefully express gratitude. Which is why I'm doing this. This toad needs to be introduced. I'm sure it will go poorly eventually. But that's not my role either. We have an opportunity to explore death right here, right now. Not for some established power to experience it and then take money from us as they tell us what it is, but for us to go in. Me and you. The unknowns, the anonymous, the poor, the broken, the weak, the disheartened, the disillusioned, and the forgotten. Those without power. That's who the medicine is for, in my humble opinion. As soon as you start grabbing a hold of power, you're already going in the wrong direction. You're getting further away from the medicine. I used to think, in my earliest experiences with this, I thought, here's the answer to all the problems. Let's get the biggest, greediest, most obnoxious asshole who's ruining everybody's life right now and force him to take this medicine. Let's straighten him out. I no longer think like that. I don't think if we went back in time and gave the medicine to Hitler or Mussolini or Stalin, that they would come out of it and see the light and be nice to everybody. Again, the nice and the good and stopping the bad from happening, this is all in our heads. Mass extinction events have happened repeatedly on this planet. Everything dies. There's no weight in it. You can say it's tragic. It isn't. It's life. And if that sounds obnoxious and insensitive, then that's what comes from experiencing death. I'm not going to change my thought because it might cause offense to whatever structure you're clinging to desperately. When you were born, you were kicked off a cliff, and a rock was kicked off the same cliff next to you. And your whole paradigm of right and wrong, justice and injustice, fair and balanced is in that rock. That's what you're holding on to desperately as you both fall off the cliff to the rocky ground below. It's nothing more than that. The balance has already been determined by something much greater than you and whatever the current paradigm and zeitgeist happens to be in your culture, in your language, in your location right now. All of those little details dictate what it is anyway. There's a big variety of humans. There's a big variety of right and wrong. Yeah, every single soldier on every single battlefield is convinced that they are righteous, they are correct, and they're doing good by slaughtering the other side. That is how wars work. Don't just because they look different than you doesn't mean that they don't have that conviction. Does it matter? Can it? Not to me. You could say I've given up on this world, and I would argue that I have not. I have embraced it. I live more freely and more lovingly and more passionately and more joyously now than ever before. And there is a whole list of things that I do not care about that will offend you all day long. You don't get to take my happiness and my peace. That's my power. The toad showed me that. I own it, and I decide what to do with it. There's nothing you can do to me or say to me that lets me think you deserve my power and my joy. You're not getting it. Doesn't mean I won't. If you're in a burning building, I'm not going to help you. I like to help if I can. I don't think of it as some righteous pledge from some religious whatever that I'm doing this thing to be this type of person to get this kind of credit in the end, which is what I see everywhere. If I can help, I'll help. If I can't, or there's nothing to help with, then I'm at peace. Where are you when there's no people to help? When you've made that pledge? Do you know peace? How many religious people know peace? The world might change a bit if everyone out there convinced that they know right from wrong and what we're all supposed to be doing with our lives. If they had peace, the message might resonate a little bit more. But I know for a fact that once you have peace, you have no interest in wasting energy on telling people what to do. What a crock. That's some of the consequences of going into the toad. You will have to reevaluate this world. When you come back into it, it's brand new. You're brand new. It's shining and glimmering. Everything looks good, everything feels good, and food tastes good. You get to start over. It's a master reboot of your nervous system, the entire brain, the spinal column. It's all reset. It's a little disorienting, but it is worth it. And what do you do with that? You try to maintain it. You try to stay in it. You start to understand what pulls you out of it. You start to realize that that is your default state. That is your birthright as a human being, is that joy and that peace. That's where you live. That's what this is all about. And if you're like me, you lost sight of that a long, long time ago. So it's a shock to find out that's the answer. What else could it be in this place with these rules, with this order? You're going to get eaten alive slowly in a very painful way at any moment. What else is there to do but to enjoy and to find something else to eat. That's the game. It seems ruthless because the life and death is just so casually tossed around. But that's where we are. Life and death is casual because it's not the end. There's somewhere else. This is the little flash. This is the little challenge, the little test, the little game. This other place is permanently established. There are no whims in that place from what I have been able to glean, which is not much. I am mostly a frightened creature, grasping for something that makes sense, grasping for the things that I told myself were real and true. And they're never there. What is there is something completely different, with no bounds, no limits, no laws. It's perfection. That's what built this. It doesn't need your attention. You don't have to fix it. That's what we're told, to keep us occupied, but you don't have to fix anything. In fact, the perfection itself is the joy. You get to quiet down enough and just look at it and smell it, and breathe it in, and stretch it out. And it's not for you to meddle with. It's never that heavy. It's never serious, even when you're dying. We make it that way. That's the challenge. The challenge. Eric says, soldiers prepare for battle. Warriors prepare for death. What are you? What are you going to do? Death is coming. It's right here. It's never been far. You think there's an advantage in facing it? In becoming that person? I don't know how I will comport myself the next time I walk up that hill and go into the toad. But when I think about it, I see what I am. That's clarity. And it's not what you want. It's not what I want. I want things to be different. Of course, we all do. That's the friction. That's what ties us up. How much you want that is a conversation worth having, because it is in direct correlation with how much you appreciate the way they actually are. And once you do that, you will have maneuverability, because the things you want will be attainable. You can't just want money. Money isn't real. Everybody's tied up in that knot. And not only is it not real, it has absolutely nothing to do with happiness. Just go talk to the last lottery winner. Find out how all their problems got solved. It doesn't work. For me, I want inner peace. And I want to maintain it as long as possible, until my last breath comes. I also want to have fun. I also want to drink wine. I also want to eat fried chicken. I also want to have sex. I also want to laugh with my friends. I want to go on adventures. I want to not do the tasks laid out for me this day because they're boring and I don't feel like doing them. This is the details of the game. None of it can get to me anymore. And I'm still not a respectable human. There's nothing about me. Just look at how I comport myself the next time I go into the toad, and you may look at this coward. I might cry. I might shake. I might complain. And still, I have all this joy and power. I mean, in that sense, it really doesn't matter. It's fun to recognize what you are and to see if it can be something different based on your own rules and your own measurements of worthiness, not anybody else's. It's the funnest part of the game, and it's the hardest part in the early stages for me, because I think a lot of the fear going into the medicine was actually, what was I going to come back into here? The changes inside me were so drastic, and these leaps and bounds so overwhelming, that a lot of the anxiety was not knowing what I was when I wasn't in the medicine. That stunning reality is hard to describe. And when you're in it, you can't describe it. You can't talk about it. You don't even know what's happening. It's only through hindsight that any of this is something worth talking about, something that can be talked about. And even then, I don't think there's much value in this if it's a little bit of entertainment and if it's encouragement for people who cannot see the light. The point is, it's always there. It's always there. The person that I come back into now after the medicine is in the light, because I see the beauty all around me and I appreciate it, and I don't need to change it. I'm grateful for it. And I think I'm getting to the point where I'm comfortable with leaving it, because I am trusting who created it. I mean, start to think about the powers at work here, the forces that have, you can just say the word evolution and say, oh, it's just all, what, some chemical reaction? Who created the chemicals? No matter what you say, you can't get to the heart of the truth with science. It doesn't mean science is worthless. It just means it can't address the truth. What is energy? What is the speed of light? It's the greatest velocity that exists. Well, then why is the universe itself traveling faster than the speed of light? And into what is it traveling to? It's expanding faster than anything can move, and yet everything is moving that fast. And that means that there's an edge? Why can't we see that? This design is so that you can't answer. Because as soon as you do, there will be another question. Doesn't matter the power of your technology. It will not. You can't have technology more powerful than this. The technology is just a piece of it. Like you. The acceptance that you are something that is changing all the time is a grown-up concept. It's about growing up. You were told growing up meant to pay your bills and not break the law and to do whatever these people tell you to do. That's actually not growing up. Growing up is acknowledging what you are. Number one, the entire world around you right now is what you've created. Every single detail in it is you. The relationships, the money, the location, the disease, the health, the energy, the frustration, the shame, the rage. That's all coming from you. Every single detail. That's step number one. Step number two, you're a joke. Any other notion that you have about yourself is ridiculous and it's just going to lead you down the wrong path. You are not substantial. You are not special. The thing that's thinking these words is tricking you into believing that you are something. And that's your first step, and you're going in the wrong direction because of it. Step three, I am not fixed. I am not defined. I am in flux. I am an amalgam of billions of things, thousands of forces at work, trillions of details, constantly shifting like a raging river. You are under no obligation to be the person you were 5 minutes ago. My favorite Alan Watts quote. As soon as you're willing to let go of that notion, you're in for a scary drop and maybe a liberating realization of the truth. It wouldn't matter anyway. You're on your way out. You're dying right now. Get a grip. Face it. Stop pretending. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You're a general of an army camped in the open overnight, and the enemy is going to attack. And you have no fortifications. You don't have any resources, and you don't know from which direction they're going to come. What do? You can't defend any one position. It's not an option. That's your life right now. There's only one move. It's to get quiet. Breathe it all in and wait. Your system will help you out. You are equipped for this battle. You're designed for it. You are the battle. It's happening all around you. It always has. In this exact moment, this dance with death. You can distract yourself from it if you want. Turn on the TV and tune all this out. It won't make any difference at all to anyone or anything except you. Maybe the loved ones that are relying on you to not be a pussy. Stand up for what this life is and accept it. Embrace it. If death is definite, what are the fears? What are the risks? What do you have to watch out for? Death is coming. That's not ever going to change. Where's the drama? Where are you rushing off to? What are you running from? Where are you running to? What is it? Sit down and think about it. It doesn't warrant your emotion. It's a game, and it's a fun game. But only if you see it. You got to zoom out. You can't even see the board from where you're sitting right now. You're inundated with fear because you don't know even what you're afraid of. But I got a hint for you. It's death. That's the granddaddy of them all. They all emanate from that single source. Whatever you've turned it into with your creative mind, it doesn't matter. Just keep tracing it all back. Eventually, it's fear of death. That's the fear you take into the medicine. That's what you face. You can go and say you're afraid because you're dying of cancer. You're afraid of you're going to get murdered by your ex. You're afraid that you're making the wrong decision with your business. Call it whatever you want. I don't care. The medicine won't care. You'll face what it actually is. You're afraid that you don't understand anything that's going on. This whole life is a mystery to you, and no one's even talking about it. And sometimes your success is what draws this into sharp relief. Because now everyone's looking up to you. Oh, you made it. You're the pinnacle. You're the great. Well, you don't know anything either. You're just as confused as before. Now you have authority? What are you supposed to do with that? Well, if you're a cowardly asshole, you'll start bossing people around, telling them what to do. If you're a warrior, you'll show up and face it. And you'll find out. And when you find out, all that stored energy, that reservoir of power in your bank account will become a weapon for good. You'll do great things with it. Real things for real people. Not this nonsense drama about ledgers and numbers and assets and profit. That's all a distraction. It has nothing to do. That's just like eating the menu. There's nothing to it. And all the people obsessed with it are cowardly. I don't know how I will comport myself the next time I face medicine. But when I think about it, I see what I am.